Welcome, Dashes. Good morning. Tell me about Polskantoor. Where does it come from? What is it about? It's actually it's a very long story. About 8 years, Bram de Toy and I always at the art festivals. We were driving around in my bakkie, and he always felt very strongly about doing an opera. And I said to him, I don't know if we can do it, but eventually I did send him a text. And the only thing that was really in Polskantoor was the post office. But he loved the text, and we started talking about ideas. And then Magdalene Minnaar and Jacob Bauer came on board, and the thing really got momentum then. So now Art Club and Grahamstown Art Festival decided to finance it. It's a very interesting project, especially since I got to know you as the web editor of MK, and you are associated with, not necessarily with opera, with other type of things. Is it because of Bram? Yes, I think Bram really played a big role to show me that world. I think it's something new, and I wanted to move away from all the other projects that were quite heavy and wanted to move to something funny. And you would think of opera as something heavy and very serious, but this is a comedy. So it has been described as sexy. Is it sexy? Yes, it is a bit sexy. To the end, things get out of hand a bit. It starts in the post office, and we chose the post office because it is an everyday space. You wouldn't think that an opera would take place in it. And it gives you an opportunity to do things with people's expectations of the post office, with the everyday events, and then opera, which is quite high art. So I think sexy is not too far off. Bram's father says it's naughty. Now, there are probably a lot of people that know you as because of your work in the Rooiland. Now, if this is the reference that they use to come and look at Polskantoor, what should they know? Polskantoor is something completely different. I tried something completely different than the Rooiland. Rooiland is very heavy and realistic, and Polskantoor is basically the opposite. It must have been a great challenge. How did this project come together, and the different roles that you played? Well, after we heard that we were continuing with the project, we started writing, and it was beginning of this year. And yeah, there were many challenges to keep the different audiences happy. You have the serious audience, but you also want to keep the masses happy. We were at Grahamstown and Art Club, so there were different audiences there, and to accommodate everyone in a way, in an art form that puts a lot of pressure on language, it was quite different. With opera, it's actually poetry, so it's something closer than writing an email, but to keep it light and funny, yes, it was quite a process. You're also known as a poet, so it's actually probably a skill that you used here. Yes, I don't think I'm as well known as a poet, but more as someone involved in drama. But drama and poetry have a lot in common. You know, that looking at the rhythm and rhyme and the words. So it's something that I could have experimented with. Magdalene Minnaar is the one voice that we heard there, and she's absolutely wonderful. It must have been a nice process to work with someone so talentful. But she's not the only star in this wonderful production, is she? No, we have a lot of stars. Actually, we have a lot of great stars and roles. We also have Ronald Kenneth as Sarki. We have Aubrey Lodewijk as Napoleon. We have Kobus Venter as the postmaster. And then we have a choir, Magendooms Konjanis Nwane and Visti Knudsen and Graham Warren. So these are big names in opera. Oh, wow, I'm looking forward to it. I'm quite excited. It's very interesting for me to look at this production from the side, and to know that you were a lecturer in Poland in Afrikaans. It is really not an everyday thing to do. Now, did that experience of living in Poland influence your writing process? I think in Poland I was exposed to a lot of influences that we don't get in South Africa. So it really opened my head about South Africa and what you can do with reference to the South African context. And in Postkantoor, you can also see light references to the South African context. It doesn't make it very heavy. And the other interesting thing was, while I was in Poland, we started with a new process of working in opera. James Kosir was also there, and he got an honours doctorate degree at the university where I worked. And he was also there for the premiere for his opera, Snowman. So it was the same time that we started working on Post Office, and it was a great inspiration of what you can do with opera. It was a very unconventional opera. So why should people go and watch this? If you want to tell someone finally why you want them to go and watch it, I think it's a celebration of how far we have gotten so far with our art festivals. Last year we had more debut productions than ever. So arts are free and they do well, and opera is a very good celebration of that goal. In Afrikaans opera, to write this genre, it's a wonderful innovation, but what's next? For me, well, I'm working on many projects at the time. We're busy doing a film about Raka, and then there are 2 pieces taking place at Art Club and many things in the pipeline. I also worked on a film based on the book And Dit Is Ek Anna. Any dates that we can look forward to? Next year. Right, 2015. Let's just finish the opera first. Well, thank you. Good luck with this, and I hope it's going to be a great success with Postkantoor. Postkantoor will take place on 7, 8 and 9 October at the auditorium in Potchefstroom. And that is Tertius Cup, who spoke to us about the comedy opera.